The US has 169 volcanoes that could erupt, and here's where they are. It's not just Hawaii. The US has 169 volcanoes that could erupt any time. There are potentially active volcanoes all over the West and Alaska, as well as Hawaii, and about 50 are considered high priorities for monitoring. Here's where to find them. Volcanoes are full of tricks. They can build to a major eruption in a crescendo of shudders and spatters or explode with almost no warning. They can lie in wait under a magnificent snowcap, the centerpiece of a landscape or of beauty that could obliterate tomorrow or in 10,000 years or never again. And there are more of them in more parts of America than you might think. So here's a rundown of where they are. The United States Geological Survey counts 169 potentially active volcanoes in the country, some of them straight from the textbook, conical mountains topped with craters, others that hardly look the part at all. About 50 of them in 6 states are rated high priority or highest priority for monitoring. A few have been active in modern times, others last erupted hundreds or even thousands of years ago. Hawaii, the state's landmass, owes its very existence to volcanoes. Each island is a product of at least one. The Big Island has 5, including Mauna Loa, which is the largest active volcano anywhere on Earth. Kilauea, the one that has lately been opening up new fissures, spewing lava, forcing evacuations, erupting in one way or another continuously since the early 1980s. Mauna Loa has erupted 33 times in the last 175 years, and Loihi, the submarine volcano, about 20 miles offshore, erupted in 1996. Farther north and west, the islands are older and quieter geologically. Maui's only active volcano, Haleakala, is believed to have erupted most recently at least 400 years ago. Though it has attracted many visitors to Hawaii Volcanoes National Park over the years, Kilauea's long-running eruption took a significant toll. Now Alaska. Alaska often gets the headlines, but Alaska has the numbers. At least 50 volcanoes have been active in the state since 1760, attracting substantial attention from volcano watchers and researchers. Many are concentrated along the arc of the Aleutian Islands, but the ring of fire around the Pacific Ocean where earthquakes and eruptions are most common. One of them is more worrisome than usual right now. That's the scientists at the Alaska Volcano Observatory have a yellow alert in effect for Mount Cleveland, where they've been detecting seismic and thermal activity and occasional ash clouds. And like most of Alaska's volcanoes, Mount Cleveland is in a strikingly remote, unpopulated area, but 4 of them are close enough to Anchorage, the state's largest city, to be a potential worry. The gravest problem that Alaskan volcanoes regularly pose is not on the ground, but thousands of feet in the air. Researchers estimate that 80,000 large aircraft fly over or near Alaska volcanoes each year, making them vulnerable to volcanic ash. When a commercial jetliner flew through the ash in 1989, all 4 engines briefly shut down, and the aircraft dropped 13,000 feet in just 8 minutes. It managed to land safely in Anchorage. The Pacific Coast. From Canada to Mexico, the American West is dotted with volcanoes. Some are in the Sierra Nevada, like the Long Valley Caldera supervolcano, believed to have last erupted about 16,000 years ago. Others help make up the Cascadia Range in rural Oregon and Washington, and one is Mount St. Helens, about 50 miles from the Portland area, which erupted explosively in 1980, causing an avalanche of debris and wiping out forests and wildlife for miles. American officials say it is the most likely of the contiguous U.S. volcanoes to erupt in the future. Another is Mount Rainier, the tallest of the Cascades, soaring scenically near Seattle and Tacoma. It last erupted about 1,000 years ago. Lassen Peak, less than 60 miles from Redding, California, erupted most recently in 1917, creating the eerie landscape of Lassen Volcanic National Park. Mount Hood and Mount Shasta have each erupted in the last few hundred years. And then we have Wyoming and the Rockies. Volcanoes are not always individual mountains. There are volcanic fields scattered across the west where scientists found cones, lava flows, and signs of relatively recent eruptions. One of America's most popular national parks, Yellowstone, is home to volcanic activity that has been playing out for about 2 million years. Indeed, it's responsible for some of the park's most spectacular sights. The park was profoundly shaped by a super eruption about 640,000 years ago. An event like that today would bury parts of Colorado, Idaho, Montana, Utah, and Wyoming in several feet of ash, and ash could end up as far away as Chicago, Los Angeles, and St. Louis. But such an event, or even a milder one, that would interrupt a Yellowstone vacation is highly unlikely to happen without a lot of advance warning, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. They said Yellowstone has not erupted for 70,000 years, so it's going to take some impressive earthquakes and ground uplift to get things started. Scientists watching Yellowstone for signs of action, but the other volcanoes sprinkled through the mountain states are seen as so low risk that they are not monitored. Now, anywhere really, most volcanoes where geologists would expect them to be, along the rough edges, cracks, and hot spots in the Earth's crust, and have been around a long time, but it's not unheard of for a new one to appear completely by surprise. Consider Paricutin, which rose from a Mexican cornfield starting in 1943. The New York Times noted in 1952 that it had given scientists, quote, a unique opportunity for study, as it is the first volcano they have been able to examine daily from the moment of its birth, end quote. Paricutin is now dormant, but its history remains central to understanding the science of volcanic development. Does that mean that the 1997 movie Volcano about lava suddenly welling up under Los Angeles might come true? Well, probably not, though there are active volcano earthquake faults in the city. The Earth's crust is not moving there in a way that tends to produce volcanic activity. This is on Blended Reality from New York Times' Alan Blinder. We've recently also had the Ridgecrest earthquakes in July of last year, which are in the Kosovo volcanic field, which is about 130 miles south of the Long Valley Caldera supervolcano. And we've recently been told that there's a magma plume that is in the Baja California area, which feeds the West Coast volcanoes, all those high-threat volcanoes. From that magma plume, which has the West Branch going through California on the West Coast, and the Eastern Branch going all the way from Baja, all the way stretching under the Yellowstone supervolcano. So that is something that has recently also been given to us, and you can see the details on that in one of my videos past concerning the mantle plume that is feeding Long Valley Caldera and Yellowstone supervolcano. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.